it's just cockfighting.
You've come to this realization like 3 different times.
Well, I've had alcohol since then. I don't remember that. Okay. Anyway. Welcome to Movie Pain or Pleasure. Stop making faces at me.
I didn't do anything.
Welcome to Movie Pain or Pleasure podcast, the show that sometimes says there's no place like home.
Yeah, but sometimes you want your home to be elsewhere. So.
Sometimes. So I'm your co-host, Melanie, and this is our co-host, AJ, and we're doing something a little different for this episode. AJ, this was your idea, so you explain it.
This is just places that we want to live in that we've seen in different types of media.
Yeah, and I'm wearing my Texas home t-shirt, and I've got a little story about this. So, as you know, I dated a narcissistic, controlling asshole a couple of years ago. You can read about the whole story of that in my memoir, Kicking and Screaming, a memoir of madness and martial arts. I don't have the book on hand. Hold up. Bad me. But, again, Kicking and Screaming, a memoir of madness and martial arts. You can read all about that.
There'll be a link in the video description.
Thank you. Yes. AJ's in the book too, but he's not the mean boyfriend. So anyway, he had kind of, unbeknownst to me, taken a job up in Washington, D.C., where he had grown up, and moved up there and then just put a lot of pressure on me to drop everything in my life and go up there and live in his parents' basement with him while he got his feet back on the ground with this job after he had been unemployed for quite some time. Nothing wrong with that, but he wasn't really doing much to try to be employed. So anyway, and I bought a home, I have a good job, my family's here, all this stuff. So he was just acting like that meant nothing. And at the time I had really low self-esteem and thought, well, this relationship is my only chance at love, which it wasn't. Better to be single than in a situation like that. But anyway, I was really, really, really conflicted. And I was walking down West 7th Street, which is a well-known street in Fort Worth, Texas, where we live. It's kind of a popular area. And I was walking down the street, and I saw these two people walking the opposite way towards me. And one of them had a sweatshirt with this home tee, which I've seen them for others. It's the cutout of the state, and it says home, period. I'd never seen it before, but I've seen several since for Texas and other states. And I thought, okay, that's a sign. I need to stay here. It all worked out. I'm here. I got my revenge by writing about it in a book. So anyway, I bought this home tee as kind of a little act of defiance to say, Texas is my home. I'm not going anywhere.
Okay.
But
Texas shows up on the thing.
It does. But there are other places besides Texas where we kind of live in fantasy land and TV shows or movies where we might like to live. So let's get started. Number 1 is Letterkenny.
How are you now?
Good, and you?
Deadly.
In near Toronto, I think, in Canada. Somewhere in Ontario,
This is
Canada.
kind of a funny one because it kind of just reminds us of little town Texas.
It really does. So Letterkenny is this comedy that was on Crave TV, which I think is Canadian, and you can watch it on Hulu, and they're up to 11. The season 11 is coming out at the end of 2022. It's very funny. It's very quippy. You kind of have to get used to it at first. It's very
especially
wordy.
as a Southern American, you got to get used to the lingo and the way, the timbre of the speech and everything.
Yes, but it's very quotable. It's hilarious, and it's just kind of a feel-good show too. It's every time I watch it, I get really nostalgic and homesick for the rural West Texas town where I grew up, and I just wish I could throw everything away and go live in Letterkenny, because it's not just living in a small town, which kind of I like the city I live in, but there's a lot of bullshit city stuff that goes along with it. Lots of amenities too, but there's a lot of bullshit. And having grown up in a small town, I've experienced both. I'd take a small town over a city any day. But it's not just that; it's the actual community of people.
Yeah, everybody's involved with each other, and everybody's pretty cool. I mean, Wayne gets in a lot of fights, but that's more like a pride thing,
It's
and
an
they're
honor
usually
thing.
friends immediately after.
Like, if my car broke down on the side of the road, McMurray would stop and fix it, no questions asked. He might try to get me into a threesome with his wife, but if I declined, he would be very cool about it, and he would fix my car and make sure I got home safely, and everybody's nice.
And hopefully you wouldn't hear him talk about cunt.
You're gonna have to edit that out.
I don't care.
So it's very quippy. It's very funny. Small towns are wonderful. I would love to live there. I would not want to winter there.
No.
There's a lot of snow. It's very cold.
Although maybe for 1 year I would just be curious, how does this work? It kind of
this is when you want to live in a small
the
town full of
feeling
people
of
like Wayne and McMurray because they help
survival
you.
and inside is where you want to be because it's nice and cozy. I would appreciate that. I don't know if I want a whole season of that shit.
Like the episode where they had the slumber party and
Yeah.
they just all got dressed up and cozy. And it has some nice little sayings too, like more hands means less work, and when a friend needs help, you help them.
It's kind of like the idyllic version of a little country town.
Yes.
Like that's it. It's like the best version of that you could get. It's pretty, the people are nice, and they're, hard-working, home farmer types and whatnots, but they're also really intelligent and quippy and all
Yeah,
that
and if
shit.
you need good drugs, you can get it from Stuart. And if you need a drink like a good puppers, you can go down to Modine's and get one from Gaylor.
God, from Gale.
From Gaylor.
Gale's the only bad... Well, not the
Alright.
bad part, but questionable part.
Yeah, but there's, they will all defend each other because sometimes people are antagonists in the show, but then they'll band together to fight a common enemy. And I like that about that show. So number 2, and by the way, I despise people in all of humanity. So for me to say that I would really love to live in a really involved community is saying something. So anyway, number 2 is Arlen, Texas, which is the place where King of the Hill takes place, which is a Texas anime.
What are you eating?
Nothing.
You are eating your emotions, aren't you?
Maybe, who knows? I don't know. I don't care. Whatever.
Fight me on it.
Is the Texas anime.
Okay,
Nothing else will ever compare.
Explain.
What? It just is. It has all...
Talk about its qualities. I'm drinking wine.
It has... I don't fucking know. It's the quintessential Texas town. And, I mean, town, not, like, small town.
I will say, we talked about this before, it is not West Texas. There are some little nuances, like, Hank would definitely work for an oil field company.
It's definitely, like, Fort Worth has little bits and pieces of little countryness mixed in with the city.
Mm-hmm.
Letterkenny is just small town, niceties, all that shit. Arlen is like in between.
I feel like we tried to figure out where it was, and I think it's somewhere between the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex and Houston. It's close enough to one of the big metropolitan areas that you can...
It seems to be...
They travel there. They also go to Mexico really
It seems to
quickly,
be
though.
where it needs to be.
Like
because,
Springfield.
Like, it's really close to the border at times, and other times it's like, oh, well Fort Worth's just a couple hours away. Let's go, whatever. But that might be the best part. Like, if I need to, like, visit family in Arkansas, Arlen's wherever it needs to be. Maybe it's only 4 hours away instead of 8. So, yeah. But you get, like, just the... I don't know, like, the community type feeling, but also you get a little bit of the fun weirdos involved.
Yeah, and there's a little more anonymity of living in a bigger city, too. I know at one point Hank talks about going to Denton for vacation, which, Jason Lee, if you're listening, hi, I hope you're enjoying Denton. So he moved there. Fun little trivia that I found out. So anyway, yeah, it's big enough. I'm guessing it's not like a city like Lubbock where it's a big city but it's isolated out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
It's more like a suburb of, and it's not as small as a place like Corsicana, but maybe it's one of the outer suburbs of Dallas or Houston. That's what I kind of think it is.
So a little bit like a tiny Fort Worth. Like, you'll get all the, like, city things you need, but you still get, like, everybody that works on their own cars and their own roofs and shit.
And they all know each other, and you borrow each other's tools and things like that.
And have a beer out in the alleyway.
Yeah, so I kind of live through these shows. Now, both of our families live in small Texas towns, so I can kind of get my kicks going to visit and all of that. So I can feel like I live in a small town again. So anyway, number 3 is Sunnyvale Trailer Park from Trailer Park Boys.
Sorry to interrupt, but I just had one of those brain learning things pop in my head that wasn't there a second ago, and it's about time to think of me around that basically, what is Christmas? I just got out of jail, which was awesome. In jail we don't have presents and lights and trees. We just get stoned and drunk, and it's the best time. I get out here and I'm all stressed out. My girlfriend breaks up with me, and that's not what Christmas should be. It should be getting drunk and stoned with your friends and family, people that you love.
Which is, like, the worst version of, I know it's in Canada, but it feels very Southern American.
I avoided the show for years because I thought it was about Southern American rednecks, and I've had enough of those people. I'm not leaving Texas, so don't even come at me and say, well, get out if you don't like it.
There's, like, a level,
I can't deal with so many rednecks.
I like, Texans, but then there's...
Then they start talking about politics.
Even Okay, even glossing over that, sometimes you can wriggle your way out of that. But there are a type of people in Texas and in the South that everyone lovingly calls rednecks, that aren't as fun to be around. But, like, Sunnyvale is sort of so ridiculous about it, it makes it fun.
Yeah, and Sunnyvale takes place in Nova Scotia, Canada. They've done a Christmas special where it's cold, but we never see it when it's cold. I think they always film it in the summertime.
Best part about it.
So yeah, it always looks like the weather's always good. And it's like, do I want to live in a trailer park? No, not necessarily. But
this trailer park,
parties are always going to be lit, and it's going to be entertaining.
All you gotta do is worry about bottle kids, and and magic mushrooms possibly growing underneath your house.
Possibly. But there's, again, a sense of community that I really appreciate. And I've never seen so much, like, hetero male love towards each other. Julian and Ricky and Bubbles love each other so much. They are the best of friends. They tell each other they love each other all the time. That is one of the best examples of friendship. And they yell and they argue and they call each other out, but they take care of each other in the end. Yeah. So I would want to be on the outskirts of that. I wouldn't want Ricky, doing repairs around my house or anything like that. I'd go out and hang out at Julian's bar or his gym or whatever it is that season. Bubbles could probably fix stuff for me. Ricky could hook me up with good weed. J-Rock would entertain me with some decent rap. And Tyrone. They take care of each other, because there are some times when they think the park's going to be bought out, or some bullies come in,
which also includes
and try
a lot
to intimidate people.
Illegal activity.
Tons of illegal activity.
But
they all take care of each other.
But that community makes it feel like, you know what, maybe you really can survive after being a convict.
Yeah, gives you some hope. Now, flash to reality, I've lived in a condominium complex for 10 years. I know my 2 downstairs neighbors because I have had appliances leak onto their ceiling. And I know a guy who lives in one of the units because we used to be in kind of the same church group many, many, many years ago. So do I live out this community with the community I live in? No. But I could do that in Letterkenny or in Sunnyvale Trailer Park.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 4 is Republic City from The Legend of Korra.
Yeah.
You explain, because I don't really remember much from the show.
Oh, God. Okay. 1920s New York with a little bit of, like, Asian flair.
It's kind of steampunky, isn't it?
Yeah. But, minus the racism.
Yeah.
Which is the biggest problem with 1920s New York, which
or anything in my 1920s.
Well, yeah, whatever. In my mind, I always loved the vision of, like, old New York, not fuck New York now with all the people. Like, I'm sure there was a lot of people back then, but it seemed like it was a bustling in a fun way.
Like New York in the 40s, where everybody wore suits.
Yeah, and it felt wholesome, like, having never been there. But
I've been there twice.
But in Legend of Korra, you get that with the architecture, with the, like, building designs,
the cars,
the vehicles, the radio,
yes,
the sports events, everything, plus magic powers.
Yes, bending powers.
And even if you don't have bending powers, you could learn how to pinpoint pressure people, and it's real. So that's cool too.
Cool.
So yeah, that'd be pretty fucking fun.
Yeah, it would be. Number 5 is most homes that I see in horror movies.
Every time.
Every time. No, not every time. We've been watching one called...
Not Chainsaw Massacre.
No, Chainsaw Massacre's house looked like shit. All those feathers and
very creative,
skulls
though.
Everywhere. They were very creative with their decor, but they did not take care. And that house was cute, too. They needed a paint job and some love. But every time we watch a horror movie, I'm like, oh my god, look at those wood floors and stained glass windows. This house is beautiful. So...
Maybe these people deserve what they get because they always have these... They're in a situation where they can buy these amazing fucking houses.
Like the dude in The Ring, too, and he was just like, I don't like living here. Well, fuck you, Samara's gonna kill you.
You own your own business, dickwad.
A 3-story old home with wooden floors and that beautiful bathtub that the ghost was sitting in. So, don't die in your car. So, good. I'm glad she killed him. So, but yeah, but either they don't appreciate it, or it's something like there's this really bad movie called Truth or Dare where the house is basically fucking with these people, and the whole time I'm just like, oh my god, it's like floor to ceiling windows, and
Yeah.
so if you've listened to our podcast long enough, you know I love my condo that I live in. It's paid off, that's good and all, but I want a house at some point. I want a real house that is just just a regular single family home. So I have like baby fever, but it's house fever. And all the time I'm looking at houses. I don't have baby fever. Never have, never will. But I have house fever. And so horror movies always just have this house porn that the houses are incredible. Now, recently we've been watching one with Michael Rooker called Henry about this serial killer.
Ugh.
And he is staying in the trashiest apartment. That place is a shithole. So no to that one, but yes to most houses in horror movies. Oh, there's a ghost here, but my god, look at the molding on the ceiling.
There's to everything. Every
Yes.
single fucking time.
Every time. Okay. Number 6 are the towns that are in the old Pokemon show.
Yeah. These are nice, walkable towns. Weather is almost always perfect. There's fucking magic animals everywhere that you can catch and force to abuse each other for your entertainment.
So it's cockfighting.
Yeah.
Pokemon is just cockfighting.
You've come to this realization like 3 different times.
Well, I've had alcohol since then. I don't remember that.
So yeah, I need to make you watch the movie. They address the cockfighting and then they forget.
Oh god. Do they put like little razor blades on like Pikachu's feet?
Luckily, no.
No, but yeah, they always
Anyway.
seem chill, and there's like trees and rivers and
And there's
They're
like
just
a
nice.
hot cop and hot nurse in every single town.
yeah, so there's someone for everyone. So number 7 is the house mainly, and then also the town in the anime movie Summer Wars.
Fuck yes.
Talk about the house.
I want that house so bad. It's like giant open flooring. It's a Japanese version of Forrest Gump's home. it's a one story, which is
it?
nice.
Oh, I thought it was 2 stories.
No, I'm pretty sure it's 1 story, but it's nice and open and flat, and it's at the top of a plateau, hill, whatever. And it looks down on the town, and you can ride your bike into town from there. Good workout. So you'll stay healthy, and it's Japan, so you'll probably be like that 100 club, whatever. You'll live to 100. You might hate your life all the time, but you'll live to 100.
Not if you live in that house.
They have a nice tank outside that's like the size of a fucking boat, like a yacht. Like they fit a yacht in that thing.
Oh, like a stock pond?
Yeah. Well, you call it a tank.
Oh.
That's what they're called.
I'm redneck, Lou. Look at that stock pond over there.
It's a tank. Usually people have them to like throw fish in there, and you catch your own fish.
You just throw the fish in.
Well, yeah,
Fish
you
is like, oh,
fucking-
thank God, I'm in some water. Like, hey, what's this shiny thing?
Like a fucking football, just. Anyway, so yeah, this is just a badass home with a nice town right next to it, and beautiful scenery.
Yes.
It's the shit.
Okay. Number 8 goes back to something we said earlier. New York City at the time of the original Miracle on 34th Street, which I think was 1947.
Back when they were like, what do they call it? Macy's Day Parades.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Well, they still do the Macy's Day Parade, but...
I don't care though. That's the difference.
Okay. So we've already kind of talked about romanticizing old school New York.
Yeah.
So I don't think we need to go into too many details. Maybe I'd go to Little Italy and see if I could try some food from
And
people
hopefully,
who might have been my ancestors.
hopefully it's still in black and white.
Oh.
So I can entertain myself with like all noir walking at night, like play noir music and just look suspicious.
Yes. All right. Number 9 is a real place, is Buellton, California. And this little town near Santa Barbara came to fame in the movie Sideways from 2004. And we've talked about Sideways a couple of times on our podcast, starring Paul Giamatti.
Multiple times.
Because that is such a good movie.
And an okay book.
And an okay book. But the movie is amazing. And right in the middle of wine country. That part of California is beautiful. And I actually have family who live in Santa Barbara, and 2 of them live in Buellton with their kids. And so I kind of have a standing invitation, hope, if I'm still in their good graces, of going to Buellton, and they've said it's much more chill than Santa Barbara is a small town basically, but there's less traffic. It's more chill. The prices are a little bit better. They're still outrageous compared to the rest of the country, but they're a little bit better, and it's getting into the mountains. The Hitching Post restaurant is still there. The motel where they stay, the Windmill, is now called, I think, the Sideways Motel or something. So they certainly ride their Sideways fame, but it just looks like a really pretty chill place to live.
With pretty fields of grapes.
Yes.
Grapevines.
Yes.
So.
Okay, number 10 is really started from a book, but it's also in a miniseries, is Claras House in Ogallala, Nebraska.
Oh.
From Lonesome Dove.
Well, ladies, I reckon it's time to be going. I'd like to see at least one more place that ain't settled before I take up the rocking chair.
God, this part of the country's settled.
Well, you're here, Clara. Pretty soon it won't be nothing but a schoolhouse.
And again, this is like me, the person, I despise people. I cannot emphasize that enough. I really hate people, except you and people I'm related to. But I usually kind of just hate humanity and don't like spending time with people. However, what I liked about this, it sounded like a nice house, kind of out in the country. And Clara just took people in, like July Johnson and Lorena, and took care of them. You'd had a job, you had to work for your supper if you lived there.
Yeah, she was like McGonagall. She was like stern, but she was caring.
Yes, and her little girls were always fun, but it was caring, and she built a little family from, her husband died, and she had her 2 daughters, so she built this family and community of people who kind of lost their way and needed a home and needed to stay with her. So if I were out in the West and traveling and didn't know what to do, I'd probably go to Clara's house. Yeah. So number 11, I'm going to let you explain this, is Gotham.
So there's this really interesting DC animated film called Gotham by Gaslight. I don't know if... I'm sure there's a comic version. I never read the comic. But it's Gotham, and it's supposed to be, early 20th century. But it looks very, very much like London. And there are people that sound like Londoners, and like a Jack the Ripper type character just running around. Mm-hmm. Luckily, neither one of us are whores, so it'd be totally safe for us. And there's still Batman.
They kill a nun.
Oh, do they?
Yes, remember the one?
Oh, yeah.
The nun who took care of Bruce?
You're just spoiler warning.
Oh, shit, sorry. No, it wasn't a nun. It was a prostitute dressed as a nun.
Spoiler warning. Anyway, it's been out for a while. Whatever, it's still awesome. Just go watch it. But, it's, it just has that, even though, it would kind of suck to live in London. No, I'm sorry, Londoners. I would hate it. The mist and the rain constantly, I would want to die.
Also, at that time in history, what do you do when you get your period? It must have been so gross. Up until probably 1985, getting your period was awful. It still is, but at least you can do a lot of things to contain it. Back then.
Anyway, we actually want this on the list. I don't know why we're making it sound terrible, but this seems like the best version of that.
Yes, because Gotham is usually a big corrupt shithole.
Yeah, and instead it's London, basically, which was once described as a shithole by Sweeney Todd. So,
but the parts Bruce Wayne lived in were nice because he was rich.
True.
Also the clothes. And the clothes were really nice.
The clothes were awesome. You can just pick up, orphans off the street and be like, you're gonna go make me money now.
Like you do.
Because you want to eat, right, kid? Okay, so go do my job.
Okay. And so when we talked about this earlier, my question to you was, okay, which version of Gotham would you want to live in?
Regular Gotham.
Regular Gotham. And you said...
Did I answer?
You did.
Oh, I want to be in the Michael Keaton, Tim Burton Gotham.
No, it wasn't that. It was...
No? Because I want to punch through those walls. They got the shittiest walls.
The first thing you said to me was Adam West.
Oh, it has to be Adam West, yeah.
Because it was the swinging 60s, man.
That is not why I picked it.
That's why I pick it.
Although, that is a point in its favor. Because, you know...
There are a bunch of hot women on that show. You'd probably like it.
Everyone's pretty free and about their personalities and other things, I guess, and before the time of AIDS. So, it's a safer time.
Pre-AIDS Gotham.
Yeah. Anyway, but...
It's not just that.
It's also the safest Gotham that's ever existed.
Because there are a shit ton of villains, though. Like, every week
Yeah,
there's a different... There are a lot
but-
of villains, but they're usually just like, I'm going to steal money from the bank.
One, I'll just
They
get
never kill anybody.
I'll get an insurance policy and I'll just sue people. Because if I get involved, I know I'm not going to die.
What if you could
No
be
one ever dies.
You could be a criminal lawyer, as Jesse would say. Maybe you could be a lawyer for the Penguin and stuff.
Okay, even though it's like 1960s, I'm still pretty sure getting that degree would take too long. So,
Okay, well.
no, not interested. But yeah, if I had to live in one and survive, it would be Adam West Batman.
Because it also always seems like they don't really show the small folk too much in 1960s
No, they
Gotham.
really don't.
But it seems like it's okay. It's probably super racist and sexist because it was the 60s. But also we see in more modern versions of Gotham, like in the Batman or the Christopher Nolan ones, it sucks. Gotham sucks.
Yeah. So if not that, the Michael Keaton ones, because I would just destroy skyscrapers that are made out of cardboard.
Because
those sets are all made out of cardboard.
yeah, the movie sets, we were watching the Batman Returns and
They look
AJ goes,
so-
this looks like we're watching a play.
It does. They're so weird, like
And boxy
They're
and-
so obviously just a bunch of cardboard cutouts.
Yeah. Okay, number 12 is Albuquerque with a caveat. And I've actually wanted to live in Albuquerque in real life because if I didn't live in Texas, I'm obsessed with the American Southwest. I live in Arizona or New Mexico. But we could choose between Breaking Bad Albuquerque, High School Musical Albuquerque. High School Musical, because I don't want to get killed in Breaking Bad Albuquerque.
In High School Musical Albuquerque, you might get to break out in a song for no reason.
Yeah.
Which is always fun.
You can bet on it.
Fuck.
Okay, so yeah, definitely for sure. When we've already established, like, High School Musical and Breaking Bad take place in the same universe. So maybe Jesse went to high school with all like Troy Bolton and everybody, but he was the fuck up in class. And Mr. White's
He was too
chemistry
busy
class.
getting high while they were doing their singing and dancing and shit.
Yeah, no, he was on stage crew.
Well, he was still getting high.
Oh yeah,
So
because you can do both. So okay, number 13 is the countryside from the movie Babe.
yeah, we're so attracted to like the nice farm life type of place.
Now, I wouldn't want to actually live on a farm because I'm lazy. I don't want to work.
I don't want to work with a bunch of animals and shit. I love dogs, but the Babe universe though, it seems that the animals do most of the work anyway.
And they can talk.
Yeah, well, not to the humans, but they talk to each other. That's why everything kind of runs right, you know.
The farm really runs itself.
Yeah. So yeah, fucking.
And it also it's so green and pleasant.
It's like Ireland.
And
like,
cozy.
It's like the best version of Ireland. Also, it's part of the not quite England, not quite America thing. So, you know, you might be able to buy a Wonka bar.
Yeah, because we've talked about this on another podcast, and we'll talk about it again when we cover our multiverse. But Babe is kind of some people have American accents, some people have British accents, and they never explain it. And it's kind of the same
And sometimes they have like obviously British buildings and then towns that look like.
But they drive on the left side like Americans or something.
It's really strange.
Yeah, but like Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory is kind of the same way. Like where Charlie lives, like is it England or is it America?
So Willy Wonka, Babe,
Snowpiercer.
And Snowpiercer, because Snowpiercer is a sequel to Willy Wonka, and Gotham are all in the same universe.
We'll explain that on another podcast, so stay tuned. So number 14 is the house from the Korean movie Parasite.
Fuck yeah.
Now,
and that whole side of the neighborhood, not the other side.
Oh yeah, we don't want to live in the poor part of town where when it rains all the shit comes out of the toilet and floods your house.
Yeah.
But my God, okay, first of all, that movie totally, it deserves to get the Oscar every single year. That is one of the best movies I've ever seen. It is so profound and so bleak, and it's so good every time. every time I watch that movie, I either notice something new or I'm just kind of reliving it for the first time. So the house is a little stark for my taste, but I mean, if somebody said, "Hey, Melanie, you get this house
Look at that
for
backyard,
free,"
though.
backyard was nice,
Perfectly hedged in.
Yes,
With literal hedges. 10-foot tall hedges, no need for a fence.
all those nice big windows with all that natural light and that basement. Hopefully, there's not someone living
in
down
it.
there.
I could turn it into a very weird gym or guest apartment.
Yeah. Not to rent, because I don't want people living in my house.
I mean, if they only came out at night.
Ugh.
Like,
Or
stay
up-
down there and give me my rent money.
Or up the stairs when a small child is there.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Anyway.
Okay, so this is the last one. Number 15 is the town where Fruits Basket takes place.
Oh, God, it seems so nice.
So Fruits Basket is this really nice, sweet anime that it's very wholesome, although the second reboot really got into some darker stuff.
There's some pretty dark stuff in there.
There's some pretty dark stuff, but it's so pretty with the cherry blossoms and the sunlight and the water.
And it's like one of those nice walkable towns you don't have in America, like, at all.
Yeah, it's one of these pretty little Japanese mountainside towns.
If I could change anything about America, it would be walkable towns and, like, public trains for transport. Like,
that actually are worth
that actually
something.
work and are worthwhile. There's no reason everybody should have their own fucking vehicle. I'm sorry. Or at least one per family, and if you happen to go a long ways, you can drive. Whatever. Anyway, I digress. But but this town is nice, perfect fucking town where it seems nothing bad ever really happens except in that family.
Yeah, so just don't be part of the Soma family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Other than that, you're always going to be pretty happy.
Okay, so out of this list, if you could only pick one, what would you pick?
Maybe Letterkenny.
I was going to say Sunnyvale Trailer Park. At least in the warm climate. I'd probably go down to South Texas and stay with my parents over the winter.
Because the trailer houses in Trailer Park Boys are pretty fucking cheap. We could probably, like, summer, or, in Letterkenny and winter in Sunnyvale.
I don't want to winter in Sunnyvale. It's colder up there. That's more northern part of Canada.
But doesn't look like it. Even in the cold parts of that show, they've never
snow. Okay, well,
they never
disagree on
have
that.
to use fucking snowmobiles to get everywhere.
That's true. They do in Letterkenny. So yeah, I would want to live in Sunnyvale Trailer Park. That's my final answer.
Okay, I'm sticking with.
I'll stay in Nova Scotia and you stay in Ontario.
So you get to be part of those no good fugitives.
I'm a fucking degen. I'm a fucking degen from Upcountry.
Yeah.
So we'll see each other in like rival gangs. I've got 2 dishonorable mentions. One is the worst Gotham.
The Joker Gotham.
From Joker with Joaquin Phoenix. Shit
Oh,
hole. And then you got Republican corrupt Thomas Wayne.
Yeah.
Running things. I mean, he dies.
Great touch, by the way.
Oh
but,
yeah, making him an asshole.
Yeah.
Oh, that was good.
But it's got to be like the worst version of. What was it,
Gotham?
70s or 80s?
It was 1981, I think, is when it was supposed to take place.
Okay, it's like the worst version of Gotham / New York.
You would
It's
definitely
basically
have,
New York.
You would definitely have like a Son of Sam type of character.
Like, I actually understood and believed wholeheartedly that the whole town could be covered in smog at all times.
That's why when people have said that Joker is kind of a reference to Taxi Driver, and that's how Travis Bickle sees the city. It's just like the depths of depravity and the trash that needs to be wiped off the street. And as Joaquin Phoenix would say, everybody's yelling and screaming at each other. There's trash everywhere. So, yeah, that version of Gotham. And then also the Detroit we see in It Follows.
God, it's
bleak.
bleak.
In 8 Mile, it looks like shit too, but
it's not so fucking bleak.
It looks boring in It Follows. So that's where we'd like to live. So if you're following us on YouTube or Instagram, comment and say, where in a TV show or a movie would you like to live? So you can watch us on YouTube, Twitch, Discord. You can listen to us on Anchor, Spotify, iTunes. You can follow us on Instagram, Movie Pain or Pleasure Podcast. So join our cult and be my victim.
Yeah, that's about it.
That's about